remember when I was 21 and I found out I was going bald, I had this belief that I'd have to find a wife before I went properly bald, because I already knew how terrified I was to talk to people with hair, and I knew that if I went bald, it would be so bad. And I think to my life as a bald guy, and just walking through life in kind of a mortified shame 24 hours a day. And there was even this one Seinfeld episode, funny enough, where George Costanza was describing what it was like to go bald, and he said to his friend, "Brother, I give you 14 months. And sorry, I can't. It was like, "Brother, I give you 14 months to live, because in many ways, this is like a death." And he was joking. It was just a joke in the show Seinfeld. But I heard that, and I literally took it seriously. I was like, I'm in so much trouble right now. I've got to get married before I go bald. I just remember thinking that. Now, as I got older, here's what I realized. There's basically two types of bald people, or two types of short people, or two types of poor people. There's the ones who care that they have those supposed inadequacies, and the ones who do not care. So if you're balding or bald and it bothers you, it just rips you apart, people are gonna see you and they're gonna say, that person's bald. Say you're a guy, that bald guy. Say that you're short. People will actively call you a short guy or short person because of the fact that you're insecure about it. So the basic rule is that there's short people who care they're short, and short people who don't care they're short. There's bald people who care they're bald, and bald people who don't care they're bald. There are overweight people who care they're overweight, and overweight people who don't. And you can see this written all over their demeanor if it's kind of eating at them and just sucking the life out of them and bothering them and making them insecure. And what happens is the insecurity winds up drawing your attention to it. Versus when they're totally free, their voice is flowing, they're witty, they're just going about their lives, you don't even think about it like that. It doesn't even cross your mind that they have those things, or if anything, they look even cooler. They come across as having this sort of aura of personal power that it's not even bothering them. So that's what you have to understand right off the bat. There's two types. My friend Jeff, who you might have seen me do videos with, Jeff is 5'7". But while Jeff is 5'7", he's not really 5'7". My other friend Elliot Hulse, who I've done videos with, look up Elliot Hulse. This guy is unbelievable. He's 5'8". Now in my videos, I would always joke around because part of my shtick with what I'm teaching, I'll say, I'm short. I'm 5'8". Well, Elliot, when you look at him, if you look up Elliot Hulse, this guy's incredible. You look at him, I thought he was at least 6'4". I literally believed in these videos with Elliot that when I met him, I'd meet him, I'd be looking up at Elliot, like I'm looking up to the Brooklyn Bridge here. I'd be looking up at him and he'd say, "Hi there, Owen, good to meet you." And I'd be like, huh, like that, like a little puddle coming around my feet, because he's so powerful. This is one of the people, the most personal power you'd ever see in your life. I learned a lot just from watching how he does his videos and the way he carries himself. And you would never think of Elliot as 5'8". So one day Elliot was at my crib and I said, "Man, I never knew you're 5'8" when I saw it." He said, "Brother, I carry it well." And I had to laugh at that because he really does. Now, I've also had other friends. Some of the guys that I've been friends with over the years that have had the most amazing dating lives, two of them were 5'2" and 5'4", and both of them, they carried themselves incredibly well. Why is that? I have a weird theory about this, by the way. I have kind of a funny theory. I think for men particularly, if we're 5'7" or 5'8", and we're kind of almost traditionally good looking, we could often be more insecure than someone who's really short or not traditionally attractive at all. Because when you're almost that traditionally attractive person, you can kind of wish that you were and try to go into your mind and tell yourself the story that you are and always be defending that story. But if you're 5'2", you have nothing to defend. And so some of my friends that are 5'2" or 5'4", I've seen where they can be the most free, the most fun, because frankly, they just don't care. They're not even thinking about it. They're in what you call non-resistance. There's no hope for them to tell themselves that they're that traditional 6'2" person. There's no hope for that. So they've let it go. The key is in the non-resistance. So if you have some kind of inadequacy, you've got to remember that. For example, I have hair on my back. And I remember the mother of my kids, we were in a hot tub when we first met. And she said to me, "Oh, guys with hair on their backs, I hate that." And I literally just turned around and said, "Well," and she was like, "Well, I mean, guys with like like a lot of hair on their backs, right? Like she was the one who was embarrassed, not me. I wasn't embarrassed. I didn't start qualifying myself saying, well, that's part of being a man, you know? I mean, that's what we have. And it's part of my ancestry that I have that, you know, like, right? That's not gonna do anything, the self-qualification. So I had to be at peace with that. I had to be at peace with being in that pool, you know, with her and her body being perfect and mine, you know, tandem perfect basically, and my body being kind of just pudgy and white, my little pink little pointy nipples, kind of man boobs, and hair on my back. I've got to be able to kind of float around that hot tub and just be splashing around and having way too much fun. And by doing that, that's why my dating life could be good, right? Because I didn't care anymore. I remember even seeing myself on camera and realizing that I'm balding and not wanting to even turn around because I wouldn't want that bald spot to show. And again, I had to get to a point where I don't care. I had to actually seek out other role models who were bald or balding and see that they didn't care and realize I don't have to care. And it's funny because you'd see how much I'm balding and you would think that that would really salt my social life or even my dating life. And yet I have never had a single problem with that I'm personally aware of, because of the fact that I'm not in resistance to it, or at least 99% or whatever it is, not in resistance to it. And I don't even really make a ton of self-deprecating jokes about it. It just doesn't really come up. So again, whatever shortcoming you have, are you in resistance to it or do you not care? And I believe the reason why this is so critical personally is because other people are afraid to offend you, and that fear of offending you actually drives them away. It's a combination of that and a kind of perceived lower status that you have from being insecure. It's a little bit of both. But the one as far as offending, it's like, let's be honest here, okay? Let's see that you see somebody who has a very, very severe disability, okay? Have you ever had it where you walk near them and you start treating them differently, where you start saying, oh, hi, I didn't mean to bump into you, oh, like, you know, you start doing that. Well, yeah, you're being extra polite to them with their high-level disability, but because you have to act like that, it makes it where you can't keep up the act. You can't keep up the act of walking on eggshells around them all the time. Frankly, you just can't keep it up. By the way, because I'm a social media influencer, sometimes around fans of my work, I can even feel that way, because let's say that you meet me and you like my stuff. A lot of people don't like my stuff, clearly, right? But if you meet me and you like my stuff, you have kind of an expectation of how I'm gonna be. And frankly, if I meet you, I'm afraid that I'm not gonna live up to what you wanted, but I get tired, I get in a bad mood sometime, and I worry that I might kind of kill Santa Claus for you. So if you ever meet me, by the way, and I kind of just look half out of it, I don't give you the attention you want, I'm sorry in advance. That doesn't mean that's who I am. You caught me at a rough moment. I don't know what to tell you. I wish you could have caught me at a better moment. I do my best. But again, because of that, I do sometimes get tired when I meet people on the street because I worry I'm not gonna live up to the hype. So if you're somebody who you're walking around with fear of being offended, realize that there could be an element potentially where somebody is so afraid of hurting your feelings, it just tires them out. And so they'll avoid hurting your feelings, but then they may not want to be around you, versus look at the opposite, right? The back hair, the pointy pink man boob nipples, all that. And I'm just splashing around in the pool with back hair. Well, the mother of my kids, she didn't have to worry about offending me. She didn't have to worry that I was going to take anything personally. So she just starts having fun with me. The fact that, you know, she's like a goddess and amazing, that wasn't part of the issue, because I'm in the collaborative frame. We're all just having fun. We're in an environment of non-judgment. She has her own insecurities that she's afraid of. Even though she's amazing, she would have her own insecurities that would eat her up too, right? So that's another aspect of this as well that even builds on it. Here was a great lesson about this that I got. One time I attended hip hop dance class and I never got good at it. I think like I learned like some, that's about what I got for you, right? Like, you know, I was never any good at it, but I went to hip hop dance class. I was kind of trying to like pull the stick out of myself, you know, like I had such a stick shoved up inside me. I was trying to pull it out. So I went to hip hop dance class to get a little bit more loose. Never learned any dance moves, but at least got a little bit more loose. I got a great lesson in that dance class that applies to this. My dance teacher, I was so nervous of how I looked, like so nervous of how people would think of my dancing, my non-dancing. My hip hop teacher said, hey everybody, Don't worry if you're not dancing well, because what you'll find is everybody's obsessed with themselves. Everybody is looking at their own dance moves. They're not looking at your dance moves. They're gonna be staring at themselves in the mirror. This one idea really stuck with me as far as not being so insecure, because what it did was it made me realize, wait a minute, most people, unfortunately, really would try to awaken society and make us improve from this, but frankly, with where society's at now, most of us are so obsessed with ourselves, we're not judging anybody else. We're more in fear of ourselves being judged. So in the hip hop dance class, everybody's looking in the mirror and they're looking at their moves. Nobody was even looking at me. So I'm kind of struggling through these moves, like trying to, it's so bad. And I'm looking, I'm like, and again, I'm so insecure that no one's looking at me. This isn't that bad. No one's looking, no one cares. Once I saw that from hip hop class, I realized that same principle basically holds true with the most of life. Generally speaking, even someone who you're around that's wealthy or beautiful or has something that you wish that you had, they're taller than you, they're trapped up in their own subjective world, hoping that you're not judging them. And particularly if you're at peace with whatever insecurities you might have, frankly, they're probably even gonna start feeling that even more and kind of buying into wanting your approval because you're being so chill about it. So again, like I talked about earlier, we can structure society to make everybody afraid of hurting each other's feelings, but I think that puts us in a world of actually additional stress. And instead, the direction that I'd like to see you go, because again, you can't just change the world. I can shout to the heavens here like, let's not become a nation of wimps, right? I can yell that to the heavens, but knowing how I felt when I was a kid, I wouldn't want to hear it. But what we can do is we can live it, okay? We can live it and we can kind of try to pull other people up. We can make a vibe together where we all don't take ourselves so seriously and make fun, non-judgmental environments where we kind of make everybody have fun and pull everybody up. And like that is what we can control. We can't control the whole world, right? So just realizing everybody's stuck in their insecurities, realizing that whatever it is that you're missing, it doesn't count if you don't care. It only matters as much as you care. In realizing that, we can become stronger, we can stop judging ourselves, and really just have a way better social life, and frankly have much higher status. Now, going from there, what I'm gonna talk about next, as far as not, having a nation of wimps, what I wanna show you is exactly how to become more mentally tough, because I can show you specifically what I had to learn to become the person that I was forced to become through all my trials and tribulations. I will show you the exact understanding that I've had to cultivate in order to become mentally tough.